everybody? I'm Zafir, and welcome back to No Love Lost 2.0. Today, I got my guest host, sorry, Moses on the line, and today we are going to talk about setting boundaries in a relationship. So, we want to talk about finances, sexual boundaries, financial boundaries, friendship boundaries, family boundaries. We want to talk about how do you maneuver and guide your partner, and they guide you through how to respect each other's boundaries. So today, I'm gonna start this off, and then we're gonna have Moses chime in. But say what's up, Moses.
Yo, 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 what's going on?
So with that being said, like for me, I'm a big advocate for people to be involved with their family because my family is a piece of shit. So I definitely, when I date, I hope for somebody that has a great family or a family dynamic that I can work my way in, right? And and vice versa, they welcome me in. So I think that when it comes to like setting a family boundary for me is I don't like people's family is all in my business. Don't put your family too much in my business now. Don't tell your family too much, if we ain't gonna leave each other, and vice versa. I shouldn't do the same. I think what a lot of the mistakes people do is they add their families onto it. And also, when you date people, I feel like you got to know where they come from. Because some people come from a lot of a lot of families that ain't shit, and, and sometimes that plays into the trauma that they have in their lives and to why they act the way they act in relationships. What do you think about that?
Well, I do agree. I have known, my share of people that, it definitely does make an impact, you know, um, that, that they're not what it could have been because of issues that, like you said, might have happened in the past. Whether it's, treating your siblings different than you, whether it's, siding with other siblings and not you. Yeah, so definitely, trauma within family can really shape up a person's personality in a way where would have never existed if other things would have never happened. And I've seen that firsthand with someone that I know that, once you start to get to know the person, you're like, wow, this person's actually like really, really cool. This person's very fun, very outgoing, very, at the same time, very chill. They're very fun. They're, you know, they like the attention. They like to be out and enjoy themselves. You know, and that side of them rarely shows because of a lot of things that has happened, that kind of prevents it. And
Yeah,
it's just sad to see people that have so much potential, that have, you know, so much light in them, but kind of gets very, very dimmed and kind of overshadowed by a lot of things that I mean, they don't want it to control them, but it's just something that's inevitable, that is kind of have shaped us to kind of be who we are. And it's something that we just deal with. I don't think
a lot of people
trauma
have
is
not
something we
dealt
ever
with
get
it.
over.
Yeah, a lot of people have not dealt with the childhood trauma. I feel like a lot of people have not yet to actually deal with or even feel escape from it. They feel like ultimately what it comes down to is they are still stuck in that place of being that little boy or little girl. And and that goes and plays into how they are in relationships. Some people think if you come from a two-parent household that you'll be more likely to be in a better dynamic of having a family life, but that's not always true if your parents wasn't happy. They always say if, mom has to be happy for the whole family to be happy, and so does dad. And what happens is, a lot of us grow up in a single parent household most of the time with our mothers. There's a small percentage of people who land with their fathers. And what happens is we don't even know how to correctly love either the same sex or the opposite sex because what we have grown into and what we have seen is nothing but dysfunction. But we have to be able to take accountability on how our actions shape the person that we choose to become. We can't sit up here and decide to let our environment be the definition of who we are. So I think what it comes down to is how you love sometimes or how you perceive love in relationships has a lot to do with your either lack thereof or it could be sometimes too much love where your parents strangled you and they were overbearing. So I feel like it could go many ways. So I definitely want to talk about talking about get meeting other people that you try to date, meeting their families. You know, try to see what you're gonna get involved into. And I'm not sitting here saying like, oh, you've been dating Bob for a month or 2 or 3 months. Now you need to go meet mom, dad, sister, and brother, and the nieces and nephews. But if you're gonna sit here and date somebody, don't date nobody and you don't know who their family is for after a whole year. That doesn't make sense to me why people move like that. Why would you go a whole year with not knowing where a person comes from other than what they tell you? And what I mean by that is, we always say, oh, well, I trust you until you prove me wrong. No, you need to earn trust. Trust needs to be earned. How do you feel about that?
I do agree with that. You know, I feel like I feel like it's in the same realm as you don't really truly know someone until you actually live with them. So I feel like that's the same realm because it's a vulnerability. You know, where you stay at, where you sleep, where you call a home. You know, it's a place where people can unwind and relax and you know, just be themselves and be free. And I feel like that it's a place of vulnerability and a place where, you know, you can like they have control. So, you know, I feel like it's the same thing as, you know, like you said, meeting their family of where they come from. It's, you know, whether it's peaches and cream or whether it's the total opposite. You know, that's a place of vulnerability to meet their siblings, meet their parents, and kind of piece together little by little, you know, the energy that is there that is where they came from, where they was raised from, or maybe, you know, there was a different energy
And I feel like that also goes
place
for your
yeah,
friends.
before what was going on. You know, where you
Yeah, I feel like that also goes for your friends too. It's like, no, you don't need to be as involved with your friend's family as you do with your partner's family, but you definitely need to know, like, hey, I ain't hanging out with somebody that's a killer or murderer or rapist or a pedophile. Yeah, I mean, like, I need to know, okay, where do you come from in the sense of just tell me about your family. I ain't got to necessarily meet them, but I need to know some details about them and how they move because I need to know what you come from or what you may have picked on that you may think is okay. And it's a boundary for me that's now being crossed, because how you may think, oh, some people like they'll go in your house and just go in your refrigerator and you're looking at them like, yo, what are you doing? Like, but then you have people who be like, oh, you've been here how many times? Go ahead and go in there and get yourself something to eat or something to drink. I'm not doing that for you. You have to learn where people's come from and what they're comfortable with before you just sit up here and do what you think is okay for you may not work for someone else. So I think when it comes down to like with me in a partnership, I've always felt like if I've dated somebody within the first year, I definitely wanted to meet their family because I wanted to meet the main people, meaning mom, dad, siblings that you are close to. And the reason why would be because that's not going to determine if I stay with you, but I just want to kind of know, where's the direction where you come from. Like when I got with my fiance, when we first had got together, I was asking him like, hey, I want to meet your family, for sure. And unfortunately, he didn't bring me over there, but that was due to some other circumstances. Um, but when I did finally meet them, I was like, oh, they're pretty cool. It would have been nice to get to know you guys a little earlier, but he that's something that he had to do in the time that he felt comfortable. So I feel like you have to be mindful is that don't push it too much. Just let it flow. But the thing about it is, I also try to tell people it's okay to get close to your partner's family, but those are not your best friends. Okay?
yeah.
That is not your best friend. That is not your sister. That's your sister in law. Okay? Or that's your boyfriend's sister or your fiance's sister, whatever you want to call it. Be cautious because they are going to be loyal to each other first. So don't be sitting here getting comfortable sitting down with your sister in law, getting your nails done, telling her how your husband ain't fucking you right and you thinking about cheating. Whoa, chill, that's still her brother. You know, you gotta be mindful. You can't be just moving any type of way. You gotta get to know people's family, but don't get too comfortable where you feel like you can't be ostracized. Because you sure can, because you'll be kicked right out the family because you're an in-law. Okay, you're not blood, you're an in-law, and that's all families. You got to be careful with. So I felt like when I met my partner's family, unfortunately, it wasn't due to the right circumstances, but they were all nice to me. They were all sweet. Everybody made me feel welcome. They made me feel comfortable. It was a situation where I was like, okay, I see where you come from to a degree. Yeah, does my partner's family got issues? Yeah, who the fuck family don't, right? What family don't have issues or secrets or aggravation? But you know what I saw was the representation of love, and I think that's more that stands over all that other petty small things, you know. So also, I want to get into finances. So for me, I feel like when you are dating someone, and if you do live together, I feel like you need to have a clear understanding of how you're going to do your finances because you have those people who will get in a relationship with you and they homos. They homos like they hobos, but they homos like they need a place to live, so they sleep with you, or they'll be in a relationship with you because they need a place to stay. And that goes the same thing for heterosexual people too. There's a lot of people who will look to take advantage of their partner. How do you feel?
Yeah, I feel like that's something very, very big. And the younger you are, the more, the more less important it becomes, in my opinion. But like the older you get, the more it starts to become something that, eventually becomes important. It's not really a choice. Um, so yeah, I feel like I feel like, this goes back to kind of getting to know the person, right? As you getting to know them and you start to date them and how you start to, get a little comfortable with each other and it starts to come up the ladder. You don't like, you kind of like have little questions here and there, maybe where they work at. Oh, you work at, okay, whatever. You don't know how much they get paid, because at the beginning, that's not, you feel like that's not your business to kind of know right now. So it's like that's more in the beginning, but like, obviously as y'all, figure yourselves out and say, you know what, we like each other as partners, so why don't we become a partner? And I feel like once, you set it to become official in the relationship, then things start to become relevant. Then, you go on to the next step. And now extra information starts to become important when it wasn't important before.
Mm.
Um, so finances being, one of the pillars that people may not, hold high. It's very important because a person can get paid a lot of money, but spend it as fast as it comes. Or you can have a person that doesn't get paid so much, but is very good at investing, very good in saving, very good in prioritizing and putting whatever they got into whatever they see fit. You know, and obviously the best case scenario, would be someone that you want to create a relationship with that they're financially stable, not in terms of, that they get paid enough to, afford everything, but more that, they might live paycheck to paycheck, but they hold their own. You like they don't expect you to buy everything. You don't expect them to buy everything. Like they handle their own self. Like if they go out, they take care of themselves.
Yeah, that's the younger me, Moses. I agree with you. The younger me agrees with all of what you're saying. But the older me, I need you to be financially secure. I need you to be financially in a good place for yourself because, see, I'm in my early 30s now. So for me, it's all about security. When I was 24 and 25 and under, I'm not going to lie, I really didn't care if a nigga had a job or not. you know, but, you know, it wasn't about a job. You know what I mean? It was about that good young fuck it, you know, or just enjoying each other, having fun, hanging out, or doing things or exploring new things that I've never done before. But now that I'm older, oh no, you need to come with your own bag. It's not about even coming with a bag to take care of me because I always got me. It's more so I need you to come with a bag for yourself, and then that we can add our bags together.
Yeah, yeah. Because a person can get paid as much as you, but again, can spend it as fast as it comes. And you can't
Exactly.
really, you can help them a little bit, But if you see that they're just a person that, are not really organized with with the finances that they have, it becomes it becomes an issue, right? And I guess however people seek to handle that will be person dependent. But I feel like that's something that's very very difficult to to step on because it's like what would be the correct answer? What would be the right answer? Knowing that everyone is different. Like how do you handle someone?
I think, like you said, it
That
goes back to it's person dependent. It definitely goes back to it goes to the individual in the relationship. I definitely think it's not an aspect of, oh, if I do X, Y, and Z, then you should do it too. Like the way my relationship may run may not be how your relationship may run. Like for me, me and my partner, we had a conversation when we got together. We knew who was going to be the breadwinner, who was going to be head of household. We had that discussion already. We set the tone. So when we moved in time, whoever that person who was decided to be the breadwinner or was the person who was more financially literate or knew how to make our money profit and grow more was the person that was in control, more so the finances. But that was a trust thing. We had to trust each other because it's not easy just to sit up here and just say, you know what, here, take my money and do what you need to do with it, and you know, pay whatever bills in the house. So just tell me what I got to pay. That's an uncomfortable feeling to have to do sometimes when you're used to doing something on your own. But when you are in a particular relationship, like I said, it depends on the person. I'm just talking about how my relationship runs. So in my relationship, that's how we choose to do it. We choose to let one person more so take the lead on the finances, and then one person will take the lead on more so of taking care of household, anything that happens in the household that needs to be fixed or something. There's one person that will make sure that gets done. I think we equally break up the work, and it all equals out. We both work, we both financially can support the household, and one of us chooses just to take care of the household more, and I feel like that's what works for our relationship, financially. But where one person may take care of something more financially, the other person makes it a home. It doesn't take away from what either party put into the relationship. But I think that everybody just can't judge a relationship based on how a person chooses. People choose to run their relationships. It comes back to you have to do what works for you.
yeah, yeah. And I also wanted to bring up that well like me personally, if I also date someone that makes more money than me, um, that would be something to conversate about, because obviously, something like that is important. So, they would know, like that I would be in a different bracket than you. And, obviously, to the person that doesn't make as much money as you, that would be more of a motivator. Like, oh, sure, you make that much money. Well, so like, let's work together. So, I can make that much too. So, we can, get this together. So I I feel the person that always makes like less than the other person has a lot to gain and being motivated to do different things and try different things to reach up there. And then on the opposite side, it I guess it could be beneficial as well. But then, you also don't want to invest like a little too much. So I guess again, like you said, I guess it's very person dependent. So going back to me personally, like again, with that would be a communication. Um, but that would be something, for me to think about because ultimately that does have a sense of control. So not consciously that you're controlling, your partner with finances, but it's just something that is a given. You know, if you're the breadwinner, if you make things happen, it's kind of a given that that there'll be some sort of control. I guess it's like what kind of control and how much that that has to be looked at. Because if I don't make as much as you and you own a freaking mansion and all this other stuff, and I know that things go south, I'm homeless. That's the risk I'm willing to take for myself.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, that's
you
something
know.
you have to think about. That's why, like you said, it's person dependent. It depends on the situation and the people in the dynamic of the relationship.
Yeah, like I'll really think twice. Like, is this good for me? Because you know, I can get kind of used to a way of life, and that's just me and kind of who I am. So knowing that, it's like, damn, if I'm gonna live with him in his mansion and he got all these things, then it's like, then what's gonna be the motivator for me to work, for me to be better? You know?
The motivator, yeah, you would have to see the motivator for yourself would be, what do I want for myself? That's what I always tell. Like, I always tell my partners, like, I support anything you want to do, and whatever you feel is going to make you reach the potential of finances or in any way, mentally, emotionally, of how you get to where you want to be. I'm here for it. But I only could lead you so far until you have to make those decisions on your own.
Yeah. So I just that to me is a very a very tricky situation because I don't want to feel you know like consciously or unconsciously that you're assuming control of me. Because when you have control over the household and you have control over bills and control over like vehicles and boats and all this other stuff, like ultimately there's just a sense of control where since everything is yours, that I gotta abide by your rules, I gotta ask you, and it's just a lot to go to it. So
Well, that goes back to, like you said, communication.
I was just about to touch on that. I will be like, listen, if I'm gonna move in with you, it's I'm gonna have some rights, and that's what I offer. And if you don't agree with the rights that I'm proposing, well, then we can look at each other. Because I would refuse to live under your roof and you assume control over everything. That's not gonna work with me. So personally, because it's like, why would I live? Why would I leave where I'm comfortable, where I'm okay at, to be under someone else's roof that they're controlling? So I'm losing. To me, I think from what I'm thinking of right now, it doesn't make sense to me. So if it would be different if let's say my partner was to come to me and say, hey, what do you think about living with each other?
Yeah.
So I was looking at this place. What do you think? Maybe you could look at some places, yada yada. Then yeah, that would be the perfect opportunity to say, oh, so I saw this place and that place, and well, obviously before it gets there, the communication of would you like to live together? How do you feel about it? Will pop up, and then things that will be accepted, things that won't be accepted, yada yada yada, and like you said, big communication and person dependent. And I like and that would be just my dynamic. Some people have different dynamics. They like being the stay-at-home person. There's some people that I like the other person, allow the other person to lead, and yada yada. But me, I'm just my dynamic would just be 50-50. You know,
Yes.
if if we're living separate, and you come to my house, you can do whatever you want to do. If I go to your house, I'm gonna do whatever I want to. I had instances where I've known a partner, I know, a relationship that they've been together for about what, 10 years. And then when one person goes to the other house, oh, you gotta ask them because it's not my house. And I look at them like, girl, get your ass up and do whatever you want to do. If I want something to drink, get your ass up, give me something to drink. If they say something, too bad. But then they're not gonna say anything. So it's like, why are you directing other people to talk to that person? If you know that person, you know how they can act, you know how they feel. So, but then that's just me. But that's just me. And if that's their dynamic, that's their dynamic. But I see stuff like that and I'm like, that can't be me.
And that's okay, and that's definitely okay, because what it comes back down to is, like we said, it's person dependent. It's your priorities, your boundaries. You set the tone. There's some people, like, I have an uncle that has 4 wives, right? He's Muslim. He has 4 wives. They have 4 different homes. He goes to each home throughout the week. That's what works for him in his life. I don't want a situation where I have 4 husbands. That's too much. That's too much fucking. That's too much sucking. That's too much nut to give out, and that's too many bills to pay, because that's just not the life I want to live. I want to be with one person, just one person for me. So what it comes back to is, you just have to do what works for you. You have to do what works for the dynamic of the life that you want to create. You have to sit here and set the standards and the boundaries of what financially you're okay with and what you're not okay with financially, because people can hold finances over your head, or you have people who won't hold them over your head. So you have to be able to trust the person, especially if you're gonna move in someone else's home. I don't really suggest stuff like that. I usually suggest, if you're gonna move together, move into a brand new home or a brand new apartment with both your names on the lease. I don't. I'm not big on people moving in together and moving into the other person's apartment. And even if the rent is cheaper, let's move into a different apartment in the building, or let's add my name on the lease, because what happens is people tend to say, well, this is how I've always ran my house, and this is how my house runs, and this is my house, and you moved into my house. And see, with people like that, that's not a person who's ready for that commitment. So I do feel like, if you are, my advice to be anybody in a relationship or thinking about moving in together, definitely move into a place that you guys agree to together. Get both of y'all name on the lease or the mortgage, whatever you choose to do. I don't really think you should be buying a place, buying a house with somebody that is not your husband or wife, personally. But that's a personal thing. I don't. That's a big move, and financially a horrible one to get out of. So I just want to thank you all for listening to No Love Lost 2.0. I want to thank Moses for coming on here. He is going to guest host quite often, so you guys will hear from him. He has a lot of topics that he wants to bring out to light, and I want to bring him on here and get those conversations talked about. You could also catch us on YouTube at No Love Lost Pod 24. We have over 299 videos out right now. So make sure y'all check that out, like and subscribe. We're also on Facebook as No Love Lost 2.0. You can catch us on Facebook now. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok, as long as Trump, the felon, allows us to be. We're also on, what else are we on? Oh my God, we're on so much. Oh my God, we're doing so well. I appreciate all the love that I continue to get from No Love Lost 2.0. You guys are awesome, and keep showing that love. Make sure you subscribe on Apple and Spotify. We are on iHeartRadio. We are working on Amazon. We continue to expand, and I love you guys, and keep on showing that love. Make sure you say something, Moses. Say something to the people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, I was gonna say, before I go, thank you for having me again, Sophia. Sophia, thank you. But I also want to tell the people, again, before I go, that always be open to communicate. Always communicate with people about how you feel, and how you would like to move, and just your opinion, and never be afraid to speak up, on any topics that come about. They bring topics to you because they want to hear your opinion. And if they don't want to hear your opinion, then that might be showing you something. That's something to think about. But if they bringing up a topic and they want to hear your opinion, then you give your opinion. And you shouldn't feel like you should restrict your opinion or hold
Mm-hmm.
back your opinion.
That's
You
right.
know, if they want
And this is No Love Lost. One love.